So when you talk of a market, Miriam, what do you understand? What do you understand with the term market? Or according to you, if you are asked what a market is, what would you say it is? Yes. Yes. She has Amanda Chinyamaji. Bithi Mweni.
Yes.
What would you say market is? A market is? What is a market? Michelle, what is a market?
It's where buyers and sellers meet at a specific point to exchange goods or services using money.
Okay, that's very true. When you talk of a market, we'll be talking of a place where both the buyer and the sellers usually meet in order to exchange goods and services. So that's simply what a market is, a place where the buyers and the sellers usually meet in order to exchange the goods or services. So there is something that we should not ignore in the definition that I've given. One is that a market is a place where there are two people, that is the buyer and the seller. In another books, they will be talking of the customers or consumers and the suppliers. And I remember you did something to do with the demand and supply theory. And you are told that demand is backed by the consumer, and the supply is backed by the supplier. So in simple terms, when we talk of economics, in economic terms, we'll be talking of a market is a place where demand and supply meets. Because in this particular place, individuals who are called the suppliers will bring into the market goods. Then, after they have brought in goods, the consumer now buys the goods, because there is that the consumer came with the demand of the goods and the supplier came with the supply. So when the demand and supply meet, you know what happens? There is exchange of goods and services. So that's when you talk of a market. And when you talk of a market, we'll be talking of a place where individuals usually come to maximize their profit. Any farm, and because in this case we'll be talking of farms, any farm that is in the market comes with one aim. One is to maximize its profit. When we talk of maximizing the profit, what we mean by this is that when a farm comes into the market, it comes to so as it can earn the highest possible profit. The farm comes into the market to earn the highest possible profit. That's when we talk of maximizing its profit. The farm comes to maximize its profit. That is earning the highest possible profit. And the consumer on the other side, like we had talked of in demand theory, the consumer will come with a need also. And the consumer will be coming with an aim of maximizing his or her satisfaction. What do you mean by maximizing his or her satisfaction? This is getting the highest possible satisfaction out of a particular commodity. Doesn't talk of maximizing the satisfaction. He comes to buy the commodity that will give him or her the best he or she can. Now, I don't know how we will continue, because I can see it's only me who is on webcam, and I want you, as we continue, please I know it is data consuming, but you'll have to do it because today I'll be teaching on diagrams. So I would request that you be turning on your webcam for today's session. Please turn on your webcam because I'll be showing you, I'll be teaching you with some diagrams. So let's move on. And diagrammatically, that's why I'm now asking you now to turn on your webcams. We shall be looking at what we talk of when we mean when we talk of what we mean when we talk of maximizing profits. Thank you. I can see Odogo has already joined. Okay. I'll be giving you some time so that the others can also switch on their webcam so that you can see what we are talking of. So when we talk of maximizing of the profit, there is a diagram that I will show you. And we shall be talking when we will be talking of when a consumer thinks or talks or when a firm talks of consumption of maximizing its profit, there are two conditions that must be met. And one condition for profit maximization to be met is what we call the necessary condition. When you talk of the necessary condition, this is where we say that the marginal cost must be equal to marginal revenue. That is one of the conditions. That's when we talk of the necessary condition. That the marginal cost must be equal to marginal revenue. So marginal cost, like I had talked earlier, when we are looking at the cost, marginal cost is the cost of producing an extra unit of a commodity. Like for example, if I'm producing 10 units of, let's say, maize flour, and I see the need of producing one more unit of maize flour. The cost of producing that one extra maize packet of maize flour is what I'm talking of, the marginal cost. It is the additional cost for producing one extra unit of a commodity. That's when you talk of marginal cost. When you talk of marginal revenue, we are talking of the revenue generated or the revenue earned when producing one more unit, or when having sold one more unit. If, for example, we are talking of the one unit that we had produced, we sell it. The cost that we shall incur when selling that particular unit is what we refer to as the marginal revenue. Marginal revenue is the revenue that is earned after you sell one extra unit. Like for the example that I've given on the maize flour, if you are producing 10 units and you earned one more unit and you sell that one unit, the marginal revenue will be the revenue or the price that or the price that the price of that one unit that we have sold. That's when you talk of the marginal revenue and marginal cost. So I've insisted on those because those are the terms that you'll be using. So remember that one of the conditions that is a necessary condition for profit to be maximized is that marginal revenue must be equal to marginal cost. That is the necessary condition. There is a second condition that must be met when you're talking of the maximization of profit, or when firms think of maximizing profit, is what we refer to as uh, uh, the sufficient condition. When we talk of the sufficient condition, we say that this one we still talk of the marginal cost and the marginal revenue. But in this case, we say that for profit to be maximized, the the marginal cost curve must cut the marginal revenue from below. The note that the marginal cost curve must cut the marginal revenue from below. Note that that is another condition for profit maximization. That for profit to be maximized, the marginal revenue curve must cut the marginal cost curve, must cut the marginal revenue from below. That is what we talk of the second condition, or the sufficient condition of the sufficient condition of profit maximization. Now, I want to take you through what we are talking of using a diagram. I have a diagram with me, so let me share the screen. Yes, welcome Abdirizak Amir. Welcome. Okay. I don't know. Kibila Michelle is not connected. I can see Eustace, Derek,
Yeah.
Millicent, Miriam, Philomena Wamboi. Please join the webcam. You can. I'll tell you when. I know it is data consuming, but whatever I'm teaching, I'll have to show you using a diagram. Welcome, Millicent. Michelle, and welcome. Good. I'm waiting for the others. Where is Miriam? Where is Philomena, Sheikh, Faiza, Amito, Eustace? Are you joining, Amito? You know your mic is on. Are you joining? Yes. I'll be giving you 1 minute so that you join. Yes. I want you to check on this. Look at how it is cutting. It is coming all the way. It is getting there, then up again. So this is the marginal revenue. If you look at this, the marginal cost curve here, it is cutting the marginal revenue from above. So at this particular point, it is not profit maximizing point. Why? It has met the first condition, but it has not met the second condition. Why am I saying the first condition has been met? If you look at this point, the marginal cost curve is cutting the marginal, or they are meeting, they are intersecting with the marginal revenue curve, or which is the same as average revenue in this particular case. Because they are meeting or they are intersecting, we say they are the same. Are we together? Where the two curves in economics or mathematics meet, that particular point we say that the conditions represented by the two curves will usually be the same. That's when we talk of they are equal. Then on this other side, if you look at where my cursor is, this point, can you see where my cursor is? Can you see, class? You can now, yes, I want you to respond. Can you see where my cursor was? Yes. Let me return back. This is where my cursor is. Can you see where my cursor is? Let me increase maybe the size of my diagram. Yes. Can you see where my cursor is? Where it is moving at? Yes. I want a response from you.
Sir, I can't see any diagram from my side.
You
we are
can't
not
see
seeing
any diagram.
You've lost it. You've lost it.
What can you see?
A page of your
yes,
file.
I had to move so that yes. So Michelle, what are you saying?
We
I
are
can
no,
see
we are not. We are seeing nothing.
Okay. Let me share again so that all of you can be able to see the diagram. Huh? Yes.
I'll start afresh.
I'm resharing the yes, I'm resharing again so that you can see afresh. Yes. Yes, I can see Kibila had commented. Sorry, when I'm sharing the diagram, I cannot see your comment, so that's why I had not I had not seen that comment, Michelle. Welcome, Philomena Wamboy, to our session. Yes. Okay, I've reshared it. Michelle, can you be in a position to see the diagram?
No,
Are you
you
in a
have not
position of
shared
seeing
it.
the diagram? The diagram that I'm talking of is that one.
No,
Yes,
you have not
I've
shared
shared
it.
it. That one.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'm
Anybody
now
who
seeing
can see
it.
the diagram?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
are now seeing it.
Yes, you can work with your mic. You can now see it. Michelle, can you see the diagram?
Yeah.
Okay. Philomena, can you see the diagram? Yes?
Yes, I can see it.
Yes. Okay. This is what I was saying. This is the marginal cost curve. This the curve that I'm touching, the one that I'm moving the cursor along. This is the marginal cost curve, and it moves from the left hand side of the diagram to the right hand of the diagram. So if you look at how it is being drawn, it cuts the marginal revenue curve into two. At one point, it cuts from above. At another point, it cuts from below. So if you go to this point whereby it is cutting from above, this point where my cursor is now, at this particular point, because the two curves are meeting, it means that the marginal cost is equal to the marginal revenue. At this point where the two are meeting, it means that the marginal cost is equal to the marginal revenue. But it is cutting the marginal revenue from above. You remember we say that for profit to be maximized, there are two conditions that must be met. Number one is that the marginal cost curve must be cutting from below, and the marginal cost curve must be equal to the marginal revenue curve. So at this particular intersection point, the first intersection point, the two conditions are not met fully. It is only one condition which has been met. That is the necessary condition, whereby the marginal cost is equal to the marginal revenue. If you go to the second point, I hope you can all see. Who is that? Mute your mic, please. Okay, thank you. Okay, in the second intersection point, you can see now the marginal cost curve, it is cutting the marginal revenue from below. You can see that it is cutting from below, meaning that at this particular point where the marginal cost curve is cutting the marginal revenue, the two are equal. The marginal cost is equal to the marginal revenue. And because it is cutting from below, it means that even the second second condition will be met. That is the marginal cost curve must cut the marginal revenue from below. So this point, the point, is what we refer to as the profit maximization point. At that point, firms will maximize their profit. Any question from them? Any question? Yes. Muchama Valentine, welcome. Yes. Any question particular? Yes. Abdi Razak. Any question? Eustace? Yes. Eustace, your mic off so that we cannot communicate. Michelle, any question?
No.
From your side, Michelle?
No.
Okay. Machama Valentine. Any
Yes,
question from your side? Yes?
I
Any
don't
question?
have. No.
Yeah, okay. Miriam 10. Miriam?
Yes, no.
Okay. Delhi. Delhi, any question? Or
No.
any from that particular? Okay. Then we can now proceed and we look at market structures. We look at the market structure. And when we talk of the market structure, we'll be talking of how the markets are organized in terms of maybe the number of customers, the number of suppliers, the product that the market sells. So when we talk of such organization of a market, we'll be talking of the market structure. When we talk of the organization of the market in terms of the number of customers, the products that are being sold, and the just the organization, the general organization of the market. So that we'll be talking of the market structure. And with that particular ligand, we shall be talking of 5 market structures. One of the market structures that we'll be talking of, or one of the 5 market structures that we'll be talking of, is what we refer to as perfect competition market structure. Perfect competition market structure. Number 2, we shall look at another market structure called monopoly market structure. Number 3, we'll be talking of another market structure called the monopolistic competition market structure. Monopolistic competition market structure. The fourth type of market structure that we'll be looking at is we shall be referring to as oligopoly. And the fourth one, or the last one, the fifth one, sorry, will be monopoly market structure. So all those particular market structures will be talking of how the market is organized in terms of the number of people in the market, the type of goods that are sold in the market, and etc. So that's when we'll be talking of the market structures. That's when we'll be talking of the market structures. So let's start with the first market structure. The first market structure is what we are referring to as the perfect competition market structure. Perfect competition market structure. So when you talk of perfect competition market structure, this is a market structure where we have so many firms that sell similar products. So many farms selling similar products. And in the same case, there are so many buyers who sell similar products. Like, for example, when you talk of these particular national parks let's say in Kenya, let's say like a hotel within the national park, and you can give an example of Nairobi National Park. In the Nairobi National Park, we have a lot of restaurants which sell foods and various products. If you go to those particular national parks, you shall find that the products sold there are almost similar. Maybe the way let's say if we have a restaurant A, the service that will be given by restaurant A will be almost similar with the service that you get from restaurant B. And in the same context, the people who consume the restaurant services or the hotel services are similar. So at that particular place, The people who go to consume the services are what we call the tourists, whether domestic or foreign. So in that particular market, we talk option, but not legal option, but is a closer example to perfect competition market structure. If you go there, I've said the products sold are similar. Another thing that is there is that these particular the sellers in this particular market are almost similar. The buyers are also similar. Another thing is that there is no transportation cost incurred. For you to go and get the services or goods from perfect competition market structure, it is assumed that there are no costs in terms of transportation that are required. Another assumption or characteristics of this particular market is that there is no government intervention. When we talk of there is no government intervention, it means that the government will not correct taxes, the government will not provide subsidies, or the government will not have regulations controlling the market. That's when we talk of perfect competition market structure. So that is it. You know that the products are similar. Another thing that there is no government structure. There are many buyers and sellers. There is freedom of entry and exit. When a farm wants to come into this market, there is no barrier. There is nothing that bars that particular farm from coming to the market or leaving the market. That's when you talk of that. So that's when you talk of the perfect competition market structures. Let's see the advantage of this particular market structure. Number one, when you talk of the perfect market structure, is that since there are many buyers and sellers, there is freedom of choice. The consumers can choose commodities from the variety that are given in that particular market. You can choose as from various sellers. The other one is that it helps the farms to allocate resources to the most efficient use. With this perfect competition, farms allocate resources efficiently. All the resources will be allocated most efficiently. The other one is that the consumers benefit as a result of lower price, because given this particular term, perfect competition, this is a market structure that there is a lot of competition. If you don't buy from one particular farm, you will buy from the other farm. So therefore, farms usually engage in what we refer to as price competition. So, and as a result, we are saying that because of the price competition, the prices of commodities will be scaled downwards. So consumers will benefit from lower prices. The other one is that it is responsive to consumer wishes. This perfect competition, it is consumer oriented. Therefore, they will be serving the interest of the consumer. And this is a market structure where they're saying that the customer is the king that is applied, meaning that the welfare and the well-being of the customer of the consumers is taken care of. That's when we talk of that. The other one is that it encourages efficiency. Where there is competition, there is a lot of efficiency. Let's now look at the disadvantages of this perfect competition. Number one is that the conditions are very strict. The conditions are very strict. Therefore, there are very few perfectly competitive markets in the world. So when you talk of the perfect competition market structures, these are very few markets because of the strict conditions that are there and because of high competition that is in this particular market. Number two is that there is insufficient profits for investments because of the increased competition. Profits are lowered down, the profits decrease. So we are saying that there will be insufficient profit from which individual can share from. Yes. The other one is that the other disadvantage is that there is lack of product variety. You remember we say that this particular perfect competition market structure, the product are similar. They are homogeneous in every way. They look similar in all sense. So consumers will not have different tastes to choose from. So that's when you say that there lacks a product variety. There are no those. There will be no product varieties to choose from. The other one is that there will be an equal distribution of goods and income. Goods will not be distributed evenly. That is a disadvantage in this particular market structure. So that's when we talk of a perfect competition market structure. Let's now continue structure. And this market structure referred to as okay, let me control that noise. Yes, I've muted the person. So the other market structure, it's called monopoly. I know at a certain point in your schooling, kuna mahali uliitwa mono. Do you remember that place where you are called mono? They were saying mono means what? One. So this is a market structure where there is one seller. There is only one seller, but many, there is only one seller, but many buyers. One seller, but many buyers. We call it a monopoly. We call it a monopoly. We have many buyers, but a single seller. That's when we call it a monopoly. Okay? That is what we refer to it. So let's see this particular market structure. What are the characteristics of a monopoly? Number one is that there is only one farm in the market. There is only one farm in the market. A good example, though this is not a perfect example of monopoly, it's KPLC. In Kenya, there is only one single farm that usually supply hydroelectric power to the Kenyans or to the Kenyan economy. And that is the Kenya Power and Lighting Company, KPLC. That's an example of a monopoly, though that is not a pure monopoly. With this particular the other characteristic or the other feature of a monopoly is that the firm aims at maximizing profit. When any monopoly starts its business, it aims at maximizing the profit. What do we mean by that? Any monopoly firm will be aiming at getting the highest possible profit. Any monopoly will aim at getting the highest possible profit. And that's when we talk of the profit maximization. Number two is that the farm is a price maker. The farm is the price maker. When you talk of the farm being a price maker, it means that for a monopoly, it is the one that makes its own price. it has the liberty to make its price. It has the power to decide what to sell and how much to sell. That's when you talk of it is the price maker. That's when you talk of a monopoly. It is a price maker. It makes its own profit. That's talk of a monopoly. The other one is that there is restriction. There is restriction in the market, meaning that firms cannot get into the market and leave the market easily. There is restriction of entry and exit. Unlike in the perfect competition market structure, whereby we say that firms can get and live as per their own wish. In other monopoly, there is that restriction. There is no freedom of entry into the market. Firms cannot get into the market and cannot live as per their own wish. Another feature of this particular monopoly on a monopoly market structure is that um, the products sold have no cross substitutes. Products sold have no cross substitutes. A substitute is something that can be used instead of the other product. So it means that the products that are sold by monopoly, and this is for pure monopoly. That's why I said Kenya Power is not a pure monopoly, because you can maybe have solar power as as an exchange, or a solar as a maybe an alternative of the electricity that is supplied by the KPLC. But for pure monopoly, products sold have no substitute. You cannot change them. You cannot have something that you can use instead of them. That's when we talk of in this particular case. A good example of another monopoly is what we call the Microsoft software. You know, most of the computers are usually installed by using are installed with Microsoft software. There is very few alternatives for Microsoft. That's another example of monopoly. So that is it. Let's have the advantages of monopoly. Number one is that it encourages innovation. It encourages innovation. So the firm in the monopoly will innovate or will look for better ways of supplying products or making products or having alternatives that will be consumed by its customers. So that's when you talk of it encourages innovation. That's when you talk of it. The other thing that is there at the same is that uh, it encourages the use of the application of economies of scale. You know, in last topic, I remember we looked at economies of scale, and we said economies of scale are advantages associated with large scale production. So this monopoly to enjoy. Can you hear me? Yes, farms enjoy the yield. That's when you talk of that. The other advantage of this particular structure is that the prices remain. Yes,
we have not had that point. and we can't hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I can see some. Okay, see what is wrong. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, so we were saying which point, the one that have the one that I've finished with.
Yeah.
Yes, economies of that. Have you heard on the point on economies of scale? Okay, so the other one that is, so I was saying that we were saying that, let me see, there's some challenges here. Kidogo too. Let me reconnect. Okay, so I think I'm now okay. So I was saying, talked of encourages innovation. I've talked of economies of scales will be gained, and also we talked of quality will be enhanced. Quality will be enhanced because given that this is a one big farm with financial muscles, so farms will be in a position to produce quality products. And another thing we talked over, the farm will be stable, meaning that prices remain static or remain constant in this particular case. So meaning that the prices of products will be static or will be fixed. They will not be varying so much because it's only one farm and there is no that competition that makes the prices to keep on changing. So that's when we of the advantages of a monopoly. So let's look at the disadvantages. Number one is that there is a likelihood of the farm exploiting the consumer. There is a likelihood of the farm exploiting the consumer since there are no competitors. So when monopolies are allowed to operate alone, at times they may exploit the consumer. Sometimes they may add the products, they may be providing commodities just as they wish because there's no competitors in the market. So doesn't talk of there is a likelihood of exploitation of the consumer. The other one is that there is potential of supply being limited. There is the potential of supply being limited. Why are we saying that the supply can be limited? It can be limited because of one thing. That like if you look at this particular case, it's only one farm that is selling products in the market. And being a single farm that is selling products in the market, it means that may at times not satisfy the whole market because it's only one farm that's supplying to many people. Another thing is that there is a chance that there is a chance that the quality or the quality will maybe not as per the expectation of the customer. The reason as to why the quality may be not as per the expectation of the customer is uh, is that with these particular farms, it's only one farm that is producing the products, and there is no other farm that it is that it is competing with. Therefore, without a competitor, they may not concentrate so much on the quality. They may concentrate on the quantity that they are supplying to the market. So at times they may compromise the quality. So that's when we talk of a monopoly farm structure or market structure. A monopoly whereby we've talked of one farm in the market. Welcome, Caroline. I can see you've joined us. Welcome. You will be able to see the recorded notes. I'm recording whatever we are doing. So if after the class you can still see recorded notes. Okay. Any up to that point, do you have anybody with a question? Valentine. Any question? Yes, Valentine.
I don't know.
Okay. Philomena, one boy. Oh, wamepotea. Okay. Does it mean that it means that they are okay? Yes, Philomena. Okay, let's move on. And we shall now look at the third type of market structure, and that is monopolistic competition. Monopolistic competition. With a monopolistic competition, this is a market structure that combine the characteristics of perfect competition and monopoly. That's why you are getting the word monopolistic coming from monopoly. A competition coming from perfect competition. That's when you talk of monopolistic competition market structure. When you talk of monopolistic market structure, this is a market structure whereby we have very few firms are producing similar products which are differentiated in terms of packaging, in terms of prices, and all that. A good example, it is the toothpaste that we usually use. For toothpaste, I know all of you brushed your teeth in the morning, and you either used Colgate, you either used Dentine, you either used Aqua Fresh, and if at any given point you go to the shop and you are in need of a toothpaste, and maybe you wanted Colgate, and you find that the only toothpaste that is there is Dentine or maybe All B or even Close Up. When you say, even if I didn't want Close Up, I needed Colgate. Let me use Colgate for today. Why? Because whatever Close Up will do, it's what Colgate can do. You get that? So those local farms are selling. Okay, there's someone who is saying he has not had the meaning of monopolistic competition. So let me repeat that. So we are saying that when you talk of monopolistic competition market structure, it is a market structure whereby there are few large firms which sell products which are closely or close to each other, all are close substitute of each other. Products which are close substitute of each other. And that's what I've given the example of the Colgate. That's a good example, whereby we talk of Colgate being, the toothpaste, whereby the various companies that sell the Colgate, the toothpaste, they are close substitutes of each other. And I've given an example. If you go to the shop today and you are in need of, let's say, Colgate as toothpaste, and you find that Colgate is not there, but there is a Close Up or Aqua Fresh, you will get one. You'll use one, either Colgate or Close Up. So that's when we talk of that. So that's when you talk of the perfect competition, monopolistic competition market structure. So let's look at the features of this particular market. Number one, features of a monopolistic competition is that there are few sellers supplying similar products. There are there are few sellers selling similar products. Yes, and I've given example of toothpaste, whereby the farms are few, but they sell similar products, but these products are differentiated. Number two, products sold are cross substitutes of each other. Products sold are cross substitutes of each other. Products sold are cross substitutes of each other. So when you talk of the products being cross substitutes of each other, it means that the products that are sold in the market can be used instead of each other. That's when we talk of the products sold are close substitutes of each other. The other one is that products sold are differentiated. Products sold are differentiated in terms of pricing, in terms of packaging. They are differentiated in terms of pricing, packaging, or advertising, or the way of advertisements. The reason as to why maybe an individual will choose to have, let's say, Colgate instead of Close-Up, maybe it's because of how it has been packaged. You'll say with Colgate, there is maybe a pack, a pack that I can buy maybe for 20 shillings, with 20 shillings, or like a small pack that I can go with to any place. Doesn't talk of the packaging. So in some cases, you will buy maybe another product based on its prices. You shall say, this product is found in another company, but their product is, if it's expensive, or the cost, the price in that particular case, it's high. So I will buy this particular product now, or I'll buy this particular product from this particular company because it is cost friendly, or the price is friendly to me. So we say that price can also be a factor to consider. Another thing is it's about advertisements. Sometimes people consume products because they have been induced to consume such products through advertising. A product which is advertised for a lot, people tend to buy it, or people tend to consume it because it is popular in the market. So that's when we talk of advertising, and it can also be a form of differentiation. So that's when you talk of perfect competition, market structure. Let's now look at its advantage and disadvantage. Number one is that the advantage is products are differentiated, therefore giving consumers a lot of choices. Yes, the products that are sold at the monopolistic competition are differentiated. Even if they are close substitutes, they are differentiated such that they will give the consumer choices to make, all products to make choices from. Number two is that the farm has some control over price. Yes, farms are the ones who make the prices of the commodity. Therefore, they can control the prices in their favor, the favor of the farm, or in the favor of the consumers. Number three is that uh, there is a non-price competition. There is non-price competition. If you look at the prices of Colgate, Close-Up, or any toothpaste, maybe of the same amount, you shall find that the prices are almost similar. But to win customers over, what these particular farms does, they usually use non-price competition or competitive means to win customers to this particular farms or to make the customers buy the products. And they do this through things like marketing, through maybe product promotions and others that will draw customers to the farms. So that's when you talk of there is non-price competition. Another advantage of this is that there is price stability. Because we say that in this particular farms are not competing in terms, they are not competing in terms of the pricing. It means that the prices of products will remain constant or will not be varying a lot. Therefore, there is that element of price stability. Consumers are assured that the prices remain the same or remain constant. That's when we talk of price stability. There's that price stability. Then let's look at the disadvantages or the merits of that particular case. The other one is that because because of uh, because of farms selling similar products and them being in the same industry, they can collude and charge higher prices of the products. They can collude and charge higher prices of the products. Because we say that these are farms that will engage in non-price competition. They can even decide that we shall come together and set our prices at a certain point. So meaning that it disadvantages the consumers, or it disadvantages the people who will buy this particular product from these particular sellers. Another disadvantage in for this particular case is that there is high interdependence between farms. Interdependent farms, making it interdependence between farms. That's making it okay. There's someone who is saying that he has not had advantage number one. Delik. Okay, I don't know which advantage you are saying number one. I don't know whether it is in perfect competition or in the other, but I've provided the result in the yes, Derek. Which advantage? Perfect competition or sorry?
In monopolistic competition.
Monopolistic. The
Yes.
first advantage. What
The second,
what of
I mean.
the others? Have you had the others about the others?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
You've not had about the rest. Don't mind. I've captured all those advantages and disadvantages that are provided. So I'll be providing those hard the notes so that you can be able to look at maybe the points that you didn't hear. Is it okay with you?
Yes.
Yes, Delik. And if there will be a challenge with those particular notes, you are also available maybe for consultation. Is it okay with you?
Yes.
was disconnected a bit.
Amir. 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 Amir.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Yes, can you hear me? Machama Valentine, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I
Yes.
wanted to confirm that so that we proceed. So we were looking at the disadvantages of not perfect. We were looking at so in some of those which you've looked at before I was disconnected. I want to see how many we are with. Okay? Abdulaziz Amil. The first one that we looked at, the first disadvantage that we looked at is Abdulaziz. Kibela Michel, which one have we looked at?
What?
The disadvantages of monopolistic competition. That's where we were. Number one was which one?
Pardon?
The disadvantages of monopolistic competition. We had given a few. Number one is
Some differentiation are just a waste of resources.
yes, that yes, you have one, but I not given that, but still that one is a point. Yes, some of them are just waste of resources. That is very true. That is given. Yes, Machama, the other one.
The right price of products.
Yes, I can't hear what you've said.
There is high price of products.
There is what?
High price of products.
High price of the products. We say that there is a possibility of hiking the prices, as that is colluding to and hiking the prices. That's what we had said. Yes, Amito Eustace. Eustace? Eustace, I think he's not on. Abdulazak Amil. Yes, Abdulazak Amil. Odogo Jane. Aya. Does it mean I'm alone? Karaoke lecture. Ni mimi nilikuwa najifunza.
Hapana.
Yes, tell us, give us another one.
High interdependence between farms.
Good. Yeah, there is high dependence between farms, and I can remember that was the last one. Yes, that's very, very true. We say that there is high dependency between the farms, which could lead to them colluding and hiking the prices. So that's when you talk of monopolistic competition. Let's look at another market structure, that is oligopoly. Oligopoly market structure. When you talk of oligopoly market structure, this is a market structure where we have very large farms but few in a market. We have large farms but few in the market. So it's a good example of these monopolistic, oligopoly farms in our economy is the telecom farms that we have in Kenya. We have like Safaricom, we have Airtel, we have Telcom. Those are just the few farms that we have in Kenya. And these farms are large in terms of their capital investments. They are large in terms of other requirements that are necessary to run these particular farms. So that's why we say that they are large but few farms. So that's when you talk of oligopoly. We shall be having very large farms, but very few in the market. And I've given an example of our telecommunication market in Kenya, whereby we have just few farms that require a lot of capital to invest in. So let's look at the features of this market structure. Number one is that the farms, they are few. That's one of the advantage. There are few farms in the market. There are few farms in the market. The number two is that there is price rigidity. There is price rigidity. When talk of when talk of the price rigidity, what we mean here is that price remains maybe at it circulates around a certain price. Like for example, for calls charges in Kenya, for Safaricom, I don't know exactly how much they are charging, but it's between a shilling and maybe 4 shillings. If you go to Telecom or to Airtel, you shall find the price that they charge is almost the same. If you go to another maybe telecom, you shall find the price is the same. So the prices usually circulate around the similar price. So that's when we talk of there is price rigidity. Another thing is that the farms usually have a kinked demand curve. This is now where I will require you now to for those who are not connected via webcam, to connect so that they can see what I'm talking of when you talk of a kinked demand curve. We say that the farm has a kinked demand curve. So for those who can be able to see, okay, can you see what I'm sharing? Yes, you can switch, or you can switch on your webcam to see whatever I am presenting. So for those who are not connected the webcam, you can do so. Yes, I'm giving time for those who are connecting so that you can see what I'm talking of. Kinked demand curve. I've not shown it. I'm still waiting for those who are there, but it is the one that now you can see. For those who can now see my screen. Yes, Wagari Caroline, can you see what I've given out there? Okay, Philomena, can you see what I've presented there? Philomena Wamboi, can you see what I've presented? Is the diagram clear? Philomena, I can't hear you. Yes. Okay, Abdulazak Amir. Can you see what I've presented there? Abdulazak? Yes. Can you see the diagram? Yes, I can see Machama is joining. Who else is joining? Okay. Yes, once she has joined, I can now proceed. So this is what I'm talking of. A kink demand curve. If you can see, the demand curve is straight. The demand is the curve is straight from this point all the way to this particular point. Ambapo the curve starts now to bend. The curve bends, and where the curve is bending is what we refer to as the kink. This is the kink, the point where the curve is bending. It is what we are referring to as the kink. In simple terms, we are saying that the demand curve for oligopoly, it is bending. Why is it bending? Because of one thing. On the upper side, the demand curve is elastic. When you talk of the demand curve being elastic, it means that when you change price slightly, the quantity demanded will change with a bigger margin than the change that you had changed with the price, or how you had changed the price. If you look at the lower section, it is inelastic. It is inelastic, meaning that if you change the price, the quantity demanded will not change that much. Haitabadilika sana. The quantity demanded will not change that much. So that's when we are talking of the inelastic demand curve. You can see where the kink now is. You can see the elastic part of the demand curve and inelastic part of the demand curve. This is now the demand curve, the one that I'm moving my cursor along. That is the demand curve. It's my hope that all of you have seen what I was talking about. Yes, that's when talk of they have a kinked demand curve. It is bedding. In simple terms, it's like someone who is walking and he has lifted his leg. Kuna mahali pale kuna goti. Goti ndio tunaliita the kink. Are you together? So tunapozungumzia goti lako wakati unatembea vile limejikunja, ndivyo tunaita the kink. The bending of the knee is what we are referring to as the kink. So that is it with the oligopoly. Another thing is that firms usually aim at maximizing their profit. So, like any other firms in the market, they will be doing all what they can to maximize the profit. Another thing is that firms can join together to form cartels. Firms can join together to form cartels. And when you talk of cartels, this is a group of firms coming together to work as one unit or one firm. Many firms coming together to work as a single firm. And when they work as a single firm, they'll be selling their prices at a static price or at a similar price. That's when you talk of firms can come together and form cartel. And that is it. So that's when you talk of oligopoly market structure. So let's look at the last market structure, and that is monopoly. Monopoly. When we talk of monopoly, we are talking of a market structure whereby there are many sellers, not here now, There are many sellers, but a single buyer. There are many sellers, but a single seller. A good example is when we talk of let's say coffee farmers. We have so many coffee farmers, but they are selling their coffee to a single miller. Like let's say when we didn't have the private millers in Kenya, we only had the government which buy coffee from the farmer. In that particular case, the suppliers who are the farmers were many, selling their coffee to one single buyer who was the government. In that particular case, we talk of monopoly, meaning there is only one. Like in the monopoly, somebody say that there is no one buyer, one seller, sorry. You know, in monopoly, we talked of one buyer, one seller, sorry, one seller in monopoly. In monopoly, we are talking of one buyer, and I've given an example of that. So that's when you talk of monopoly, and it's a market structure whereby there is only one buyer, but there are many sellers. So those are what we refer to as market structures. So anybody with a question? And I can see Abdulrazak is lighting. Anybody with a question, a query, before we go to our discussion forum?